Salamanders are amphibians that look like a cross between lizard and frog. They have legs and tails of a lizard and mouth of a frog. An ancient myth says that salamanders were born within fire. So is it true or still a myth? Let's catch on this video. The scientific name is Plethodontidae or Lungless Salamanders. The family name Pletho means numerous and dont means teeth, refers to the massive clusters of teeth. Plethodontidae are estimated to have split from their sister group Amphibians around Cretaceous-Paleogene boundary and to have diversified during the Paleogene. The origin of the family is North America, with the oldest of the European members of the family known from the Middle Miocene of Slovakia. There are at least 656 salamander species, with 475 near threatened or worse. According to the IUCN, the family Plethodontidae consists of 2 extant subfamilies and about 478 species divided among these genera, making up the majority of known salamander species. Lungless salamanders live in forests, woodlands, streams, springs and caves. They thrive in wooded mountain areas. Some species live in deserts that receive fewer than 10 inches of rainfall each year. Others live in rainforests. Many species live in trees, all or part of the time. They are found in North America, Mexico, and Southern Europe. Salamanders weigh about 118 to 199.5 grams and are 2.5 to 35.5 centimeters in height. All adult plethodontids have 4 toes, with the forelimbs having 4 fingers. Several physical characteristics such as the darker skin color, slimy mucous body membrane, and disappearance of several cranial bones also help to identify the group. However, there is so much variation within the family that it is difficult to find common characteristics that would lead a casual observer to identify a plethodontid. Tails can be put up to double the length of the body. The head is designed for digging and wedging beneath rocks and in stream beds. Some salamanders have a long tongue that may be flicked quickly to grab food. Lungless salamanders that dwell in caves do not have eyes or color, and their limbs and snouts may be unusually shaped. Other species begin as larvae, but as they develop, eyes vanish, their eyelids fuse together, and their skin loses its color. Scientists have discovered a huge number of tiny salamanders, mostly in the Lungless salamander family. The majority of these slender species spend their whole lives on land, and many of them are quite reclusive. New species are being found at an alarming rate. Dusky salamanders usually are darker on the back. Poisonous Salamanderidae members are all toxic, with either poisonous skin or glands that release poison when threatened. In general, the most poisonous skin secretions are found in terrestrial species such as Taricha and efts of some aquatic species. Why are the names so? Because there are no lungs or gills in terrestrial lungless salamanders. Thus, respiration or gas exchange occurs mostly via the epidermis. They breathe through their skin and the mucous membranes of their mouth and throat, which must always be moist in order to absorb oxygen. Lunglessness is considered to have developed as a response to living in moving water. Larvae are tiny, and lungs tend to serve as air sacs, causing the salamander to float in the water. This would cut them off from their food source and endanger their existence. A number of features distinguish the plethodontids from other salamanders. Most significantly, they lack lungs, conducting respiration through their skin, and the tissues lining their mouths. Mucus coating on damp skin makes them difficult to grasp, and the slimy coating may have an offensive taste or be toxic. When attacked by a predator, a salamander may position itself to make the main poison glands face the aggressor. Often these are on the tail, which may be waggled or turned up and arched over the animal's back. Lungless salamanders eat small crustaceans and insects, but sometimes eat worms. Larger species sometimes eat smaller species. Lungless salamanders capture prey with an explosive flicking of their tongue. Predators to lungless salamanders include birds, mammals like raccoons, snakes, fish, and even the salamanders. Along with tail dropping, some species are also able to secrete noxious chemical that makes them complete unappetizing to eat. Some species of salamanders are intolerant to habitat destruction and pollution. Salamanders are usually considered to have no voice and do not use sound for communication in the way that frogs do. However, in the mating system, they communicate by pheromone signaling. Lungless salamanders commonly live close together in large numbers and typically are the most numerous vertebrates. Lungless salamanders are secretive by day and active by night. They have small home ranges. The only ones that make seasonal travels are the few species that breed in water. Lungless salamanders that live in streams are more active than land-dwelling species, but most species can move quickly when disturbed and they are good at escaping capture. Some lungless salamanders are aggressive and fight to defend their territory. Mating behavior in all lungless salamanders is complicated, and mating can take many hours. More than half of the species are completely terrestrial and deposit enormous eggs that they bury in gaps beneath rocks or logs, moss mats, moss balls hanging in plants, trees. These species' eggs hatch weeks after they are deposited, and the young resemble tiny adults. The eggs of the most lungless salamanders develop directly into miniature versions of the adult without an intervening larva stage. Some water-dwelling larvae take months to 3 years to metamorphosis, which involves the closing of the gill slits and loss of structures such as gills and tail fins that are not required as adults. At the same time, eyelids develop, the mouth becomes wider, a tongue appears, and teeth are formed. Some plethodon species spend their whole lives as larvae. Most female species protect their eggs, which ranges from 13 to 40. The lifespan of these amphibians varies depending on the species. Salamanders live for around 20 years on an average. Some salamander species may survive for up to 50 years. The lifespan of the same salamander species in the wild and in captivity may even differ. The World Conservation Union (IUCN) lists one species of lungless salamanders as extinct, 31 as critically endangered, 83 as endangered, 54 as vulnerable, and 36 as low risk or near threatened. In the end, it may be better for all of us to learn about these amazing amphibians and admire them from their proper home in the wild.